Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the world of business law. I, Professor Kunal Shah, is over here to give you all a brief discussion towards the subject that is business law. Over here, friends, we will be having a grand marathon towards the subject business law, wherein we are going to cover all the five chapters which are applicable for your December 2020 exams. Yes, friends, we are going to cover a topic called as Indian Contract Act 1872. We are also going to cover a topic called as Sale of Goods Act 1930, Partnership Act 1932, Companies Act 2013, and Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. Out of these five topics, the very first one, that is Indian Contract Act 1872, is supposed to be the most important chapter for your exams, because that chapter has a rough weightage of around 22 to 24 marks in your exams. The weightage of marks which I am talking about is nothing but the past trends of the institute. See, till now, friends, there are four examinations been done. That is May 18, November 18, May 19, and November 19. In these last four attempts, this chapter carried a highest weightage, wherein it was somewhere around 22 to 24 marks. So, friends, let us begin our journey towards the topic called as business law. Yes, friends, whenever I'm talking about a topic called as business law, so before starting with this subject called as business law, you all should have a brief knowledge towards the word law itself. You all should have a brief knowledge towards the word law itself. So, my very first question to the young chartereds over here, my very first question to you all, what do you mean by law? The word law stands for two things. Yes, friends, law stands for two things. That is, it is a set of rules and regulations. It is a set of rules and regulations. So, henceforth, whenever I'm going to shout out the word called as law, the very first thing which is going to run in your mind is rules and regulations. Whenever I talk about rules, please tell me, is it mandatory to follow rules? Yes. When I talk about rules, rules are always and always mandatory in nature. It is nothing optional over here. You cannot say that if I want to follow the rules, I will follow the rules. If I don't want to follow the rules, I won't. No, not possible. When you talk about rules, rules are mandatorily to be followed. Sir, why do we follow the rules? Sir, what is the use? Sir, what is the advantage? What is the importance of following the rules? Over here, the more you follow the rules, the more your behavior gets regulated. The better word for the word behavior is conduct. So, the conduct of the people living in a society should be regulated. The behavior should be regulated. In order to regulate such behavior, we require to follow rules. Yes, friends, behavior are of two types. It can either be a good behavior or it can either be a bad behavior. When I talk about behavior, then yes, behavior can either be a good behavior, it can also be a bad behavior. Now, you just take a call that which behavior we need to control. Yes, rightly said. We need to control a behavior which is a bad behavior. So, in order to regulate the bad behavior, we need to follow the rules. Whenever the people living in a society are following the rules, then their behavior is getting regulated, which results into something called as peace. Yes, which results into something called as peace, which brings growth, which brings growth, and there is something called as development. So the more you follow the rules, the more your behavior is being regulated, which results into peace, growth, and yes, there is something called as a development. So friends, directly or indirectly, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, directly or indirectly, the behavior of the people has to be regulated. For that reason, a country will achieve something called as development. Development is possible only when there is a growth. Growth is possible only when there is a peace. Compare two countries right away. Compare two countries right away. A country called as America and a country called as Afghanistan. When you compare both of these countries, then can I say in America there is more peace, which results into more growth, and there is something called as more development in a country called as America. So directly or indirectly, the development of a country, I repeat, directly or indirectly, the development of a country is depending upon a subject called as law. So very fast, quickly. Whenever I talk about law, what is law? It is nothing but set of rules and regulations. Rules are required to be followed by people living in a society. The moment you follow the rules, your behavior gets regulated. Whenever the behavior is being regulated, the society observes peace, which results into growth, and there is something called as a development. But friends, please tell me, are we over here to study law? No, we are not over here to study law. We are actually over here to study business law. We are not over here to study law. We are actually over here to study business law. What do you mean by business law? Friends, business law is nothing but a branch of law. It is nothing but a branch of law. When law stands for rules and regulations, then business law stands for rules and regulations towards businesses. Rules and regulations towards businesses, wherein we have to understand five different chapters. Wherein the very first chapter we are going to understand right now is nothing but Indian Contract Act 1872. Yes, friends, what do you mean by the figures called as 1872? Over here, when I talk about 1872, then this 1872 signifies the year of applicability of this act. So this act was made applicable from a year called as 1872. To be more precise with you all, it was made applicable from 1st September 1872. Now, the next word over here is act. What do you understand by the word called as act? Act stands for rules and regulations. To be more precise, act stands for rules and regulations which are specific in nature. Rules and regulations which are specific in nature. See, when I say law, I'm talking about general rules and regulations. But when I talk about an act, I'm talking about specific rules and regulations. When I say law, when I say business law, I will be talking about rules and regulations towards contract, rules and regulations towards selling of goods, rules and regulations towards partnership, etc. See, that's a general statement. But when I say act, when I say Indian Contract Act, I would like to say that I'm talking about rules and regulations specifically towards contracts in India. So, Act is nothing but specific rules and regulations. I hope so. You all don't have any doubt towards the word called as Indian. I hope so. You don't have any doubt towards the word called as Indian. So now the major point of discussion left out is nothing but the word called as contract. Yes, friends. For next 5 hours, I'm going to discuss the provisions towards contract, contract, and only contract. So, what's the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is Indian Contract Act 1872, wherein the word act stands for specific rules and regulations. Matlab, in this act we are going to understand the rules and regulations only and only towards contract. And all such rules and regulations, all such rules and regulations were made applicable from a year called as 1872, to be more precise, 1st September 1872. Over here, this entire act is been applicable to whole of India. Previously, we used to say that it is applicable to whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But please, just go away with those words, because we have done an amendment in our constitution since August 2019. Each and every act in India is applicable to whole of India. So, Indian Contract Act 1872 is applicable to whole of India. Yes, friends, I have divided this entire chapter into 5 parts. You know these 5 parts, then automatically you know entire Indian Contract Act 1872. You know these 5 parts, then yes, automatically you know entire Indian Contract Act 1872. Over here, the very first part you need to understand over here is what is contract. The second part you need to understand over here is different types of contract. The third part over here you need to understand is how to form a contract. Once the contract is been formed, then I will make you all understand how the contract gets performed. And last is nothing but how to discharge a contract. So friends, this entire chapter is been divided into 5 parts. What is contract? Types of contract, how to form a contract, how to perform a contract, and how to discharge a contract. Let us first begin with the very first question, the very first part, that is, what is contract? Yes, friends, for a layman, the word contract stands for transaction. Yes, friends, for a layman, the word contract stands for transactions. So, in practical life, whenever we are entering into a transaction, then in the eyes of law, we are actually entering into a contract. In the eyes of law, we are actually entering into a contract. So, whenever I talk about something called as a contract, then in that case, for a layman, the word contract stands for transactions. So, whenever we are entering into a transaction, we are actually entering into a contract. Let me take an example. Over here. There is a beautiful girl called as Gia. One fine day, she wanted to purchase a watch. So she went to the market and she bought a watch. Now, when Gia is buying a watch, she is actually entering into a transaction. In the eyes of law, it is nothing but a contract. See, buying a watch results into entering in a contract. Let me give one more example. The same girl Gia wanted to buy a toy. So she goes to the shop and she buys a toy. When Gia is buying a toy, then yes, there is a transaction between Gia and the shopkeeper. For a layman, it's a transaction, but actually, in the eyes of law, it is nothing but a contract. In the eyes of law, it is nothing but a contract. I'm so sorry. Yes. So over here, in the eyes of law, it is nothing but a contract. So whenever we are entering into a transactions, actually we are entering into a contract. For every transactions, there has to be two or more parties. For every transaction, there has to be two or more parties. Pretty obvious. I cannot have a transaction with myself. I cannot have a transaction with myself. Even if you are buying vegetables from the market, it is nothing but a transaction. And yes, it is a transaction between you and the vegetable vendor. You want to eat something, you went to a food stall and you are purchasing some foodstuffs. Yes, there is a transaction between you and the stall owner. So over here, whenever we are entering into a transactions, we are actually entering into a contract. For every transactions, there has to be two or more parties. So in a similar way, for every contract, there has to be two or more parties. There has to be two or more parties. Sir, who are the parties involved in a contract? The parties involved in a contract are nothing but a promisor and a promisee. Yes, a contract is always and always between a promisor and a promisee. So, whenever anyone is going to ask you that a contract is entered between dash and dash, then the answer is the contract is entered between a promisor and a promisee. A contract is entered between a promisor and a promisee. Over here, let us go on towards our the topic, that is what is contract. See, for a layman, contract is nothing but a transaction, but we are not over here to answer in a layman language. So when we are being asked that what is a contract, then yes, under professional terms, contract stands for 2b plus 2e plus 2h. So henceforth, whenever I'm going to put a question upon you that what is a contract, then yes, you need to say that contract is nothing but 2b plus 2e plus 2h. Wherein section number 2, subsection B stands for a promise. Section number 2, subsection E stands for an agreement. And section number 2, subsection H stands for a contract. Whenever you want to form a contract, then the very first step towards the formation of a contract is nothing but a promise. Yes, there has to be a promise between the parties. Promise is possible only when there is an offer, along with acceptance of offer. There is an offer along with acceptance of an offer. So from one side there will be an offer, from another side there will be an acceptance of offer. When both of these things gets combined, it results into a promise. So one side there is an offer, another side there is an acceptance of offer, then yes, there is nothing but a promise. Once a promise has been formed, then yes, you can further move in order to form an agreement. Agreement is possible only when following two things are possible. That is, number one, there has to be a promise associated with consideration. There has to be a promise associated with consideration. Whenever there is a promise associated with consideration, it results into an agreement. And once there is an agreement, then that agreement can be transferred to a contract only when that agreement is enforceable by law. That agreement is enforceable by law. So, friends, in practical life, whenever we want to form a contract, then the very first thing we require is an offer which should be accepted, that results into a promise. That promise should be associated with consideration, which results into an agreement, and that agreement, if enforceable by law, then it is a contract. That agreement is enforceable by law, then yes, it is a contract. So over here, let me give an example. One Friday, I wanted to sell my car to a person called as Mr. Karthik. So I went to him and I said to him, "Hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs?" I went to a person called as Karthik and I told to Karthik that, "Hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs?" Over here, I have given an offer to Mr. Karthik. Yes, I have given an offer to Mr. Karthik. Over here, Karthik said, "Yes, sir, I'm ready to buy your car for rupees 10 lakhs." So just see, I gave an offer. I gave an offer, and Karthik accepted my offer. I gave an offer, and Karthik accepted my offer, which means there is a promise between me and Karthik. Now, now, along with this promise, is there a consideration? Yes. When I am making a promise to sell my car, then in return, I am getting what? 10 lakh rupees. Consideration stands for something in return. Consideration stands for something in return. For my promise to sell the car, what am I getting something in return is 10 lakh rupees. So over here, can I say I am getting a consideration of 10 lakh rupees? In a similar way, when Karthik is making a promise to pay me 10 lakh rupees, then for his promise, the consideration which he gets is nothing but the car. So for Karthik's promise to pay me 10 lakh rupees, the consideration which he is getting is nothing but the car. So yes, there was a promise between me and Karthik. It was associated with consideration. Yes, there is an agreement between me and Karthik. If that agreement was made out of love and affection, if that agreement was made out of love and affection, then sorry to say, it does not result into a contract. Because all agreements are not contracts, but all contract has an agreement. Only those agreements, I repeat, only those agreements are contract which are enforceable by law. In order to make a contract enforceable, then in that case, the agreement should be made out of an intention to create legal relations. there has to be an agreement with intention to create legal relation, then yes, those agreements are enforceable by law. And when those agreements are enforceable by law, it results into nothing but a contract. So, friends, if there is an agreement, will you start assuming that it is a contract? No, all agreements are not contract. If the agreement is made out of love and affection, sorry to say, it is not a contract. An agreement is made out of an intention to create legal relation, then yes, there would be enforceability, and yes, there would be a contract between the parties. So if I and Karthik was having an intention to create legal relation, then yes, the agreement between me and Karthik results into the formation of a contract. So whenever you want to form a contract, then it is nothing but 2b plus 2e plus 2h. Wherein 2b is nothing but a promise. 2e is nothing but an agreement, and 2h is nothing but a contract. 2b is possible only when there is an offer which has been accepted that results into a promise associated with the consideration, forms an agreement, and if that agreement is enforceable by law, then yes, it is a contract. Then yes, it is a contract. A very famous case study over here. Yes, a very famous case study over here, which was Balfour versus Balfour. Husband and wife entered into an agreement, and that agreement was made out of love and affection. That agreement was made out of love and affection, which resulted into something called as a domestic agreement, but not a contract. Wherein the honorable judge over here gave a judgment saying that, sorry to say, Mrs. Balfour, you do not have a contract with your husband. It was an agreement out of love and affection. That's a domestic agreement, and such agreements cannot be enforceable by law. The case was given in favor of Mr. Balfour. So, in practical life, all agreements are contracts? No. Only those agreements which are enforceable by law are contracts. In order to make an agreement enforceable by law, the agreement has to be made out of love and affection. No, 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 no. The agreement has to be made out of an intention to create legal relations. Then those agreements are enforceable by law. And yes, if the agreement is enforceable by law, it is nothing but a contract. So over here, if ICAI is going to ask you define contract. See, they have asked you a particular question, define contract. Then in that case, you need to just mention about section number 2H. That is definition of a contract. But if the examiner is going to ask you what is a contract, then yes, you need to define 2b plus 2e plus 2h. So friends, with this, we have completed the very first topic. What is contract? What is contract? It is nothing but a combination of 2b plus 2e plus 2h. Promise, agreement, and a contract. So there are total 6 things required to form a contract. Henceforth, if I say you all that I want to form a contract, then total how many elements are required? To form a contract, we require total 6 elements. Offer, acceptance of offer, promise, consideration, agreement, enforceable by law. When these 6 things are going to come together, it is resulting into something called as a contract. Now friends, let us move ahead towards the second topic, which talks about types of contract. I'm so sorry. Let us move on towards the second topic, which talks about types of contract. Yes friends, contract can be classified under 3 headings. A contract can be classified under 3 headings. That is number 1, on the basis of formation. The contract can first be classified on the basis of formation. So this is the first thing which we need to understand. Then That contract can be further classified on the basis of performance. So this is the second thing which we need to study today. And last, the contract can be classified on the basis of validity. So this is the third thing we need to understand. So each and every contract, yes friends, each and every contract can be classified under three different headings. That is on the basis of formation, on the basis of performance, and on the basis of validity. Let us first understand a contract on the basis of formation. Let us understand a contract on the basis of formation. On the basis of formation, the very first contract we have got over here is an express contract. What do you mean by an express contract? Law says that a contract which has been formed, either by words spoken or by words written. A contract which has been formed either by words spoken or by words written, then such contracts are nothing but an express contract. Yes, express contract is a contract. Express contract is a contract which is formed either by words spoken or by words written. Then such contracts are called as an express contract. One fine day, you went to a vegetable vendor and you inquired for a kg of potatoes. The vegetable vendor said that he's going to sell those potatoes at 60 rupees per kg. Over here, you gave an offer by word spoken. He gave an acceptance by word spoken. Then over here, the contract which is going to get formed is nothing but an express contract. So express contract is a contract. Express contract is a contract which is formed either by words spoken or by words written. You give an offer by words written, the other person gives an acceptance by words written, then in that case also there is nothing but an express contract. I gave an offer in words written. That, hey, Mr. Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Karthik gave an acceptance in words written. Yes, sir, I'm ready to buy your car for rupees 10 lakhs. The contract which is going to get formed between me and Karthik is nothing but an express contract. So friends, express contract is a contract which is formed either by words spoken or by words written. You give an offer by words spoken, another person is given an acceptance by words written. In that case also there is a express contract. Okay, you give an offer by words written. The other person over here is giving an acceptance by words spoken. Then in that case also there is nothing but an express contract. So over here, so far, proposal and acceptance of proposal is made either by words spoken or by words written. Then in such case, the contract which is going to get formed is an express contract. One fine day, I went to McDonald's. I went to a food court called as McDonald's. I was very hungry and I just gave an order for one Mac Aloo Tikki. I gave an offer by words spoken. The representative of McDonald's started typing something on his computer and he raised the bill upon me of rupees 30. The acceptance which came was by words written. See, I gave an offer by words spoken. He gave an acceptance by words written. The contract between me and that person is nothing but an express contract. So express contract is a contract which is formed either by words spoken or by words written, is nothing but an express contract. Let us move on to the second point, that is an implied contract. Implied contract. First of all, you know what is a contract, no? That is 2b plus 2e plus 2h. Then what do you understand by the word called as implied? Implied stands for assumed. Assumed to be a contract. Implied contract is a contract. Implied contract is a contract which is formed neither by words spoken nor by words written. It is neither by words spoken nor by words written. Then such contracts are called as an implied contracts. The contract is going to get formed. Yes, the contract is going to get formed, but neither by words spoken nor by words written. Then such contracts are called as an implied contracts. Let me give an example. You guys will be confused that, sir, without speaking, without writing, how can a contract get formed? Yes, it can get formed. Over here, one fine day, I went to a railway station and I was having luggages with me. The moment I entered the railway station, a person wearing a red kurta and a white dhoti, having a white dhoti approached to me, gave a smile, and he started picking up my luggages. I also gave him a smile and I allowed him to pick up my luggages. The person started walking with my luggage and I was walking with him. He dropped me from platform number 1 to platform number 4, the place where I need to go. The moment he kept the luggages down, he started demanding 100 rupees from me. I said, what nonsense? You gave me a smile, I give you a smile, and for what reason you are demanding 100 rupees? He said me, sir, I gave you services. Over here, whenever I'm standing at a railway platform and a person wearing a red kurta and a safed dhoti, a white dhoti, is giving me a services, then that person is implied to be a coolie. Yes, the contract between me and that coolie got formed neither by words spoken nor by words written. So any such contracts which are getting formed neither by words spoken nor by words written, then such contracts are called as an implied contract. So when I say express contract, then express contract is a contract. Express contract is a contract which is formed either by words spoken or by words written. Whereas implied contract is a contract which is neither by words spoken nor by words written. Are you sure? Sir, whenever we are studying implied contract, then there is also one more contract associated with implied contract, and yes, that is nothing but a tacit contract. See, tacit contracts are always and always part of an implied contract. Tacit contracts are always and always part of an implied contract. Every tacit is implied in nature, which means whenever you talk about a tacit contract, then yes, in that case, it is a contract getting formed neither by words spoken nor by words written. Then, sir, excuse us, sir, what is the difference between tacit and implied then? I'll give you a difference between them. When I talk about implied contract, then implied contracts are implied by law, whereas tacit contracts are implied by the behavior of the parties. Until and unless there is no behavior, there cannot be a contract between the parties. In order to form a tacit contract, behavior is the essentiality. The moment there is a behavior, the contract gets formed, then that contract is called as a tacit contract. Withdrawal of cash from an ATM. The banker gave me a promise. The banker has given me a promise that Kunal Shah, whenever you approaches to the ATM, you will get desired services. This is the promise given to me by the banker. It is just a promise, not a contract. The banker gave me a promise that whenever you will approach to our ATM machines, you will get the desired services. Now, just standing beside the ATM machine, will I get my desired services? No, it was just a merely a promise. Over here, I need to swipe the card. I need to swipe the card. I need to enter my PIN. Then only I can get the desired services. The moment I swipe the card, it is a behavior. And over here, the contract which gets formed between me and the banker is a tacit contract. Another example for a tacit contract, auction sale. See, what is an auction sale? A product has been auctioned wherein there are numerous number of bidders been participating and there is an auctioneer. The person who gives the highest bid is the person who take away the goods. So one fine day there was an auction sale going on. There was an auction sale going on. One of the bidder gave the highest bidding. The auctioneer shouted, 1, 2, 3, tuck, it's gone. When there is a fall of hammer, the auction sale comes to an end. And with that fall of hammer, the contract gets formed. The contract which gets formed is nothing but a tacit contract. So friends, tacit contract is a contract which is formed neither by words spoken nor by words written. In fact, it is a contract being formed. I'm so sorry. In fact, it is a contract which has been formed only and only by behavior of the parties. Then such contracts are called as a tacit contracts. Let us go on to the most important part over here, that is a quasi contract. Let me give you an explanation towards a topic called as a quasi contract. Yes, friends, the concept is a quasi contract. First of all, friends, whenever I talk about quasi contract, then law says quasi contract is not a contract. Yes, quasi contract is not a contract. I know you guys are being shocked. You might be abusing me that this fat man has lost his mind. When this fat man himself is saying quasi contract, but now while explaining us, the fat man is telling me that quasi contract is not a contract. Yes, quasi contract is not a contract. Are you guys being shocked? No need to be shocked. See, whenever I use a word called as contract, can I say it is a combination of 2b plus 2e plus 2h? These are the essentialities required to form a contract. But when I put a word called as quasi over here, then sorry to say, it is not a contract. Because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. See, whenever you want to form a contract, there has to be an offer, acceptance, promise, consideration, agreement, enforceable by law, etc. These are the essentialities required to form a contract. But when I talk about quasi contract, sorry to say, it is not a contract. Because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. Either the offer will be missing or the acceptance will be missing, means something or the other thing which is required to form a contract is missing. Hence, quasi contract is not a contract. Hence, quasi contract is not a contract. Because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. But it is like a contract. It is like a contract. When I say it is like a contract, first of all, it is not a contract, it is like a contract. because it is based upon humanity. It is based upon humanity and not on the grounds of validity. It is based on the grounds of humanity and not on the grounds of validity. See, friends, generally every contract has to be based on the grounds of validity. But quasi contracts are based on the grounds of humanity and not on the grounds of validity. Under humanitarian grounds, they are considered like a contract. Under humanitarian grounds, they are considered like a contract. Just give me a second, friends. I hope so my video has been clear, friends. There was some technical glitch. Okay. Yes. Okay. So under humanitarian grounds, they are considered like a contract. They are considered like a contract. See, first of all, they are not based upon validity, they are based upon humanity. So only and only under humanitarian grounds, they are considered like a contract. So rule number one, quasi-contract is not a contract because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. Rule number two, it is like a contract. It is like a contract because they are based upon humanity and not on the grounds of validity. See, whenever you go to any damn country, in each and every country, the most important thing is the law of that country. It's the law of that country. Go to a country called as America, then in that case, the law of America is far more powerful as compared to the president of America. Come to a country called as India. The Prime Minister of India has not got so much power which is there to law of the country. So law is the most important thing in every country. Now this law is prepared by humans. It is also prepared for humans. Law is prepared by humans. It is also prepared for humans. So law says only one thing, that above me there is nothing but only one thing, that is humanity. Humans are below the law. Law, humans. So humans are below the law, but humanity is above the law. And the concept of quasi-contract is completely based on the grounds of humanity. For that reason, it is like a contract. Generally, it is not a contract, but only and only on the grounds of humanity, it is like a contract. Wherein this quasi-contract will always and always help us to prevent unjust enrichment. This quasi-contract will always and always help us to prevent unjust enrichment. See, what is unjust? Something which is not justified. What is unjust? Something which is not justified. Enrichment means every person is entitled to become rich. Every person is entitled to become rich. Yes, you are allowed to become rich. No one can stop you to become rich. Is Mukesh Ambani allowed to become rich? Yes, even Mukesh Ambani is allowed to become rich. Is Kunal Shah allowed to become rich? Yes, even Kunal Shah is allowed to become rich. But sorry to say, I'm already rich. Okay. So each and every person is entitled to become rich, but at his own expenses. You are allowed to become rich at your own expenses. Whenever you are becoming rich at someone's expenses, Whenever you are becoming rich at someone's expenses, sorry to say, sorry to say, you have become rich, but that richness is not justified. You have become rich, but that richness is not justified. One fine day, I go to the place of Mukesh Ambani and I carry with me 100 crores rupees from his home. I just carried away 100 crores from his home. Now, I have become rich, but that richness is not justified. So, this concept of quasi contract will always and always help us to prevent unjust enrichment. It will always and always help us to prevent unjust enrichment, which means every person is entitled to become rich. And when these three things comes together, it is nothing but the concept of quasi contract. So be quick, be quick. Quasi contract. Rule number one, it is not a contract because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. Rule number two, it is like a contract because it is based on the grounds of humanity and not on the grounds of validity. Rule number three, it helps us to prevent unjust enrichment. Every person is entitled to become rich, but at his own expenses. Whenever a person is becoming rich at someone's expenses, then sorry to say, he has become rich, but that richness is not justified. That richness is not justified. Quasi contract will prevent such kind of unjust enrichments. For that reason, we have got various kinds of quasi contract. Yes, we have got various kinds of quasi contract. We have got number one, section number 68. We have got number one, section number 68, right to recover money paid for necessary supply. If you have looked to my video lectures, I give an example of Raju and Kaju over there. Raju was supplying some kind of necessaries to Kaju. It was not the duty of Raju to do it, but then also he was doing just merely on the grounds of humanity. Then, one fine day, Raju was also having a right to recover the expenses which he had incurred for the necessary supply to Mr. Kaju. Section number 69, right to recover money paid for another person wherein that another person was bound to pay. That is any person who was an interested part in the transaction. I give an example of farmer and zamindar, wherein farmer had paid some kind of tax revenues on behalf of the zamindar. Over here, farmer was having a right to recover those payments which he had paid on behalf of zamindar because farmer had paid those things out of humanity and he himself was interested in that property. Section number 70, right to recover money paid for non-gratuitous act. If I'm making a payment for a birthday boy, and over here I'm having a right to recover the money which I have paid on his behalf. Over here, I was not having any interest towards the birthday party, but I just made the payment for that birthday boy because there was something called as humanity. Because there was something called as humanity. So, right to recover money paid for necessary supplied, right to recover money paid for another person wherein another person was bound to pay, right to recover money paid for non-gratuitous act. We also got section number 71, which talks about responsibility of a finder of goods. Whenever you are a finder of goods, you does not become the owner of the goods. Finder of goods is a person who has just got possession of the goods. His rights are as equivalent to the bailee. The position of a finder of goods is as equivalent to the bailee. Being a finder of goods, it is your duty to trace the true owner, return back the goods to the true owner. Yes, it is your duty to take care of the goods. It is your duty not to use those goods. Once you have fulfilled your duties, then yes, you have got certain rights. That is right to demand right to demand any kind of compensations which you have incurred. Right to demand rewards if declared. Yes, you also have a right to sell the goods if certain conditions have been fulfilled. Section number 72, right to recover money paid or things delivered under mistake. So, whenever there is a person who has delivered goods under mistake, then that person is having a right to recover those goods from that another person on the grounds of humanity. So, in short, quasi contract just talks about three things. That is, it is not a contract because the essentialities required to form a contract are missing. However, it is like a contract because it is based on the grounds of humanity and not on the grounds of validity, wherein the concept of quasi contract helps us to prevent unjust enrichment. Whenever you talk about a quasi contract, the person having a right is against a particular person and not against the entire world. In example of Raju and Kaju, Raju was having a right against Kaju, but not against the entire world. Whatever was the right of Raju was in order to demand money and not to demand damages over here. So these are nothing but certain characteristics towards quasi contract. Let us go on to the last part, that is e-commerce contract. See, this is something which has been evolved during the period of time. Previously, such things not to be prevailed. Such things were not there under Indian Contract Act. Any contracts which are being formed through electronic mediums are called as electronic contracts. Whenever you are buying something from Amazon, you're ordering something from Flipkart, you are taking the services of Zomato or Swiggy, then such contracts are nothing but e-commerce contracts. They're also called as mouse click contracts. So, friends, we have successfully completed contracts on the basis of incorporation, that is, contracts on the basis of formation. Now, let us go for a break for 5 minutes, and after that, we'll resume towards other parts of types of contract. Till that time, thank you so much. Meet you after 5 minutes. Yes, friends, welcome back to the world of business law. Before the break, we had started our chapter called as Indian Contract Act 1872, wherein we have successfully completed topic number 1, what is contract? We have also started with types of contract, wherein we have completed the very first part towards the types of contract, that is contracts on the basis of formation. Yes, friends, now let us move on to the next part, that is contracts on the basis of performance. Friends, whenever I talk about contract on the basis of performance, then in that case, we have got four different types of contracts. That is executed contract, executory contract, bilateral contract, unilateral contracts. So on the basis of performance, we have got executed, executory, bilateral, unilateral, executed, executory, bilateral, unilateral. The very first one over here is the executed contract. When I say executed contract, so yes, friends, executed contracts are those contracts. Executed contracts are those contracts which are been formed, and now they are also been performed. So such contracts which are already been performed, such contracts which are already been performed by promisor as well as promisee, then such contracts are called as executed contracts. If you all friends try to remember my example of Karthik, then over here I give an offer to Karthik that would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs. For that reason, I was acting as the offerer and Karthik was acting as an offeree. Karthik replied to my offer saying, yes, sir, I am ready to buy your car for rupees 10 lakhs. So I give an offer, Karthik gave acceptance of an offer, which means there is a promise between me and Karthik. Now, I am acting as the promiser, Karthik is acting as the promisee. It is my obligation to sell the car, and it is Karthik's obligation to pay me 10 lakh rupees. Now, the contract between me and Karthik, the contract between me and Karthik was been formed on 1st January 2020. The contract was formed on 1st January 2020. The contract was scheduled to be performed on 20th January 2020. On 20th January, I sold my car to Karthik and Karthik made me the payment of 10 lakh rupees. So can I say on 20th January itself, the contract is now nothing but executed contract? The contract is now nothing but an executed contract because both the parties have performed their existing obligations. Both the parties have performed their existing obligations. The promisor has fulfilled his obligation, the promisee has also fulfilled his obligation. It was my obligation to sell the car, and it was Karthik's obligation to pay me 10 lakhs. Both the parties have performed their existing obligations. Then, yes, it is nothing but an executed contract. So, friends, executed contract is a contract wherein both the parties, that is, promisor as well as promisee, have performed their existing obligations. When I talk about executory contract, when I talk about executory contract, then yes, executory contract is a contract wherein parties to the contract are yet to perform the contract. Parties to the contract are yet to perform the contract. So when parties have already performed it, it is executed. When parties are yet to perform it, it is executory in nature. I and Karthik entered a contract on 1st January. The contract was scheduled to be performed on 20th January. So before 20th January, I and Karthik are yet to perform the contract. So over here, the contract which gets formed, I repeat, please listen it carefully. The contract which gets formed are always and always executory in nature. But once they are performed, they become executed in nature. So from 1st January till the date of performance, that is 20th January, the contract is executory in nature. The moment I sell the car, the moment Karthik pays me 10 lakh rupees, the contract gets performed and hence it is to be called as executed contract. So at the time of formation, it is executory. Once it has been performed, it becomes executed. So executory contract is a contract wherein parties to the contract are yet to perform the contract. Parties to the contract are yet to perform the contract. What do you mean by unilateral? The word uni stands from uno and uno stands for one. One. So any such contract wherein there are two parties, but only one of them has to perform. Only one of them has to perform, then such contracts are called as unilateral contracts. Such contracts are called as unilateral contracts. So in unilateral contracts, there are two parties, but the performance is to be done. The performance is to be done only by one of the party. So any such contract wherein only one has to perform, any such contract wherein only one of the party has to perform, then such contract is called as a unilateral contract. So unilateral contract is a contract. Unilateral contract is a contract wherein only and only one has to perform. One fine day, I was very much impressed with your batch. I was very much impressed with your batch. So I just said to you all that I, Professor Kunal Shah, is making a promise to pay you all a sum of rupees 10 lakhs as a gift. Just as an example. So this is a promise made by me. I am the promiser and you all are acting as the promisee. Now, there is a contract between us wherein it is my promise to pay you all 10 lakhs. But is there any promise from your side? No. So in this contract, the contract is between professor and a student, wherein only and only the professor has to perform. Then such contract is called as a unilateral contract. So inside a unilateral contract, there are actually two parties, but only one of them has to perform, and that contract is nothing but unilateral contract. So once again, when both the parties have already performed the contract, it is executed. Both the parties are yet to perform the contract, it is executory. Any such contract wherein only one of the party has to perform, it is unilateral. In a similar way, any such contract wherein both the parties both the parties has to perform, then it is bilateral. If both of them have performed, it is executed. Both are yet to perform, it is executory. But when both has to perform, it is mandatory upon both the parties to perform, then yes, it is a bilateral contract. In practical life, 99.99,000 times 9, you will always and always come across a bilateral contract because it is a contract wherein both the parties has to perform. Both the parties has to perform. When I made a promise to sell my car to Karthik and in return Karthik made a promise to pay me 10 lakh rupees, then yes, both the parties has to perform their obligation. Yes, I have made a promise, hence I need to perform. Karthik has made a promise to pay me 10 lakhs, even Karthik needs to perform, which means both has to perform. It is bilateral in nature. See, don't get confused between bilateral and executory. When I say executory, both the parties are yet to perform. They are yet to perform. But when I say bilateral, then it means both the parties has to perform. Both will have to perform. Only one has to perform, it's unilateral. Both has to perform, it's bilateral. Both have already performed, it's executed. Both of them are yet to perform, it is executory in nature. So friends, with this, we have also completed contracts on the basis of performance. Let us have a quick recap. When I say a contract which is getting formed either by words spoken or by words written, then such contracts are called as, yes, express contract. When I say a contract which has been formed neither by words spoken nor by words written, then such contracts are called as, yes, implied contract. I said a contract which is getting formed through electronic data interchange, or else they are also being called as mouse click contracts. Yes, they are e-commerce contracts. A contract which is actually not a contract because the essentialities are missing, but it is like a contract because it is based upon humanity and not upon validity, then such contracts are called as quasi contracts. Contract wherein both the parties have already performed their obligations, executed. Both are yet to perform, executory. Only one of them has to perform, unilateral. Both has to perform, bilateral. Let us go on to the last part, that is contract on the basis of validity. Contracts on the basis of validity. Very important, yes, very important. On the basis of validity, we have got something called as a void contract, voidable contract, illegal agreements, unenforceable contracts, and last but not the least, valid contracts. So on the basis of validity, we have got 5 other things: void, voidable, illegal, unenforceable, and something called as a valid contract. Let me first discuss with you all the concept called as a void contract. What do you mean by void contract? The concept of void contract is given under section number 2, subsection J. So henceforth, whenever we are going to shout out the words called as void contract, the very first thing which is going to run in your mind is nothing but section number 2, subsection J. Void contract 2J. I'm sorry, friends. Void contract, section number 2, subsection J. The definition of void contract. Extremely sorry, friends, not feeling well, so sorry. Yes, the concept of void contract is given under section number 2, subsection J. Henceforth, whenever I'm going to shout out the word called as void contract, the very first thing which is going to run in your mind is section number 2, subsection J. Law says void contract is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law, becomes a void when it ceases to be enforceable by law. Once again. Void contract. It is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law, becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable by law. Through this definition, the law is trying to say that void contract is actually nothing but a contract itself. See, void contract is a contract. When I say it is a contract, which means it is going to satisfy the provisions of section 2b plus 2e plus 2h, wherein 2b is nothing but a promise, 2e is nothing but an agreement, and 2h is nothing but a contract. When I say contract, then yes, each and every contracts are enforceable by law. Yes, contracts are enforceable by law, no? Any agreement which is enforceable by law is a contract. So yes, you can easily take a contract to the court of law. But when I'm adding the word called as void contract, then sorry to say, it ceases to be enforceable by law, which means you cannot take this contract to the court of law. So void contract is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law. Ceases means you are stopped. You cannot take this contract to the court. Then such contract becomes void. Any such contract which has ceased to be enforceable by law, then such contracts becomes void. It becomes void. So just mark on the word called as becomes void, which means it was not void from the beginning. Which means it was not void from the beginning. In the beginning part, it was something which was valid. But however, due to impossibility of performance, however, due to impossibility of performance, it has become void. However, because of impossibility of performance, it has become void. So when such contract was formed, it was possible to perform. But now it is impossible to perform. But now it is impossible to perform. Hence, the contract has become void. See, void contract, first of all, is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law. You are being stopped to take this contract to the court. You are being stopped to take this contract to the court. Whenever you are being stopped to take this contract to the court, then such contract becomes void. It becomes void. See, practically, when do we approach court? When do we approach court? Practically, we approach the court only when someone has done a breach of contract with us, wherein we are acting as an aggrieved party. But when I talk about void contract, it is neither the fault of promisor, it is nor the fault of promisee. It is neither the fault of promisor nor it is the fault of promisee. In fact, the contract has become void. For example, on 1st January, I made a contract with Karthik that I'm going to sell my car to Karthik. However, this contract was scheduled to be performed. The contract was scheduled to be performed on 20th January. So can I say on 1st January, the contract was entered? That is date of contract. On 20th January, the contract is scheduled to be performed. That is the date of performance. Now, when the contract was entered, at that time, it was possible to perform. Hence, it was a valid contract. But now, on 10th January, my car caught fire. My car caught fire. Now, is it possible to perform this contract with Karthik? No. So now it is impossible to perform. Hence, the contract between me and Karthik has become void. Hence, now the contract between me and Karthik has become void. Over here, it was not my fault that my car has caught fire. I did not had any responsibility towards the car. It was my duty to take care of the car, but the car is catching fire without my mistake. It's not my fault. Similarly, it was not the fault of Karthik as well. So it is neither the fault of the promiser nor it is the fault of the promisee. The car has caught fire. Wherein? I cannot file a case against Karthik. Karthik cannot file a case against me now. Now, is it possible for me to sell that car to Karthik? No, because Karthik wanted to buy a car which was without catching fire. But now the car has caught fire. So I cannot sell this car to Karthik. In a similar way, now Karthik is not going to pay me 10 lakh rupees. For that thing, I cannot file a case against Karthik that you had made a promise to pay me 10 lakhs. Now I want my 10 lakh rupees. No, 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 no. So the contract between me and Karthik, when entered, was valid. But now the contract has become void because it is impossible to perform. The car has caught fire. It is impossible to perform. So the starting part of a void contract, is always and always valid in nature. However, due to impossibility of performance, it becomes void. However, due to impossibility of performance, it becomes void. Wherein it is neither the fault of the promiser nor it is the fault of promisee, which means none of the parties can file a case against each other. The contract is void, it ceases to be enforceable by law. But when I talk about void agreements, Then friends, the concept of void agreement is given under section number 2, subsection G. Void agreements are those agreements which ceases to be enforceable by law, which means they are void from the beginning. They are nothing but void ab initio. They are nothing but void ab initio. So anything which is void ab initio, anything which is void ab initio is nothing but a void agreement. That is section number 2, subsection G. If I'm entering an agreement with a person wherein I'm asking him to draw a parallel line and those parallel lines should intersect each other. I'm asking a person to draw a parallel line and those parallel lines should intersect. The person over here says, okay, I will try my best. Now the agreement which has been entered between me and that person, that agreement is not possible to perform, and such impossibility was there since the beginning. Hence it is a void ab initio, that is void agreement. So there's a difference between void contract and void agreement. When I say void contract, the starting part was valid. But however, due to impossibility of performance, it has become void. However, due to impossibility of performance, it has become void. But when I say void agreement, they are agreements which ceases to be enforceable by law right from the beginning. That is void ab initio. Yes, whenever I talk about void contract, then yes, there is a provision. There's a provision called as doctrine of restitution. There's a provision called as doctrine of restitution. That is, restore back the benefits. Restore back the benefits. For example, over here, when a contract was entered between me and Karthik on 1st January, at that time, Karthik has already made me an advance payment of 1 lakh rupees. Later on, the car caught fire on 10th January. Hence, on 20th January, the contract has become void. It ceases to be enforceable by law. In fact, the contract was void from 10th January itself, impossible to perform. Now, it is my duty to repay this 1 lakh rupees back to Karthik. If I don't pay this 1 lakh rupees back to Karthik, then yes, Karthik has a right to file a case against me for the same. Sir, can Karthik file a case against you for non-performance? No, he cannot file a case against me for non-performance. But yes, he can file a case against me for recovery of the advance money which he has paid to me. That is doctrine of restitution, restore back the benefits. Over here, we have successfully completed the concept of void contract. Let us understand the meaning of the word called as voidable contract. Yes, friend, the concept of voidable contract is given under section number 2, subsection I. So from henceforth, whenever I'm going to use out the words called as voidable contract, henceforth, whenever I'm going to use the words called as voidable contract, then the very first thing which is going to run in your mind is section number 2, subsection I. Section number 2, subsection I. Wherein voidable contracts are those contracts. Voidable contracts are those contracts which are enforceable by law. Yes, voidable contracts are those contracts which are enforceable by law only at the option of one party but not at the option of another party. Any such contract which can be taken to the court, any such contract which can be taken to the court but only at the option of one party but not at the option of other parties, then such contracts are called as voidable contract. For example, I wanted to buy the house of Mr. Karthik. I wanted to buy the house of Mr. Karthik. So I went to Mr. Karthik and I told him that, hey Karthik, would you like to sell me your house for rupees 100 only? I gave an offer to Karthik, but Karthik said to me, no sir, two simple words, get lost. Karthik was not interested to sell his house for rupees 100. I said, why Karthik? Karthik said the amount is too less. The value of my house is somewhat around 10 crores. And you are just asking me to sell that house for rupees 100? That's not valid. Sorry, I'm not ready to sell my house for rupees 100. I was into my red anger. I said, oh, that's not cool. Kunal Shah can hear anything, but he cannot hear a word called as no. Karthik rejected my offer. I got touched. I again went to Karthik, and now at the pinpoint of a gun, I said to Karthik, "Hey Karthik, would you like to sell your house to me for rupees 100 only?" Karthik said, "Okay, sir, I'm ready to sell my house to you for rupees 100 only." Can I say I have applied coercion over Karthik? I'm asking him to sell his house by force. That's a coercion. Over here, the contract which got entered between me and Karthik is a contract. It's a contract. But now, can I take this contract to the court? No, I cannot take this contract to the court. I cannot say to the judge that I bought a house of rupees 10 crore at just rupees 100. The judge said, how? I said it is my talent. I can't go to the court. But can Karthik go and file a case against me? Yes. A contract wherein one party can enforce the contract, another party cannot enforce the contract, then such contracts are called as voidable contracts. The party who can enforce the contract, the party who can enforce the contract are called as an aggrieved parties. They are called as an aggrieved parties. See over here, when you compare between me and Karthik, when I, at the pinpoint of a gun, is trying to buy the house of Karthik at rupees 100 only, I am doing a coercion over Karthik, wherein Karthik becomes the suffering party, Karthik becomes the aggrieved party. Are you understanding my point? So over here, whenever you talk about something which is void, the contract is void, which means what? It ceases to be enforceable by law. None of the parties can file a case against each other because both the parties are being stopped to file a case against each other. It is neither the fault of the promisor nor it is the fault of the promisee. So when I talk about void, none of them can file a case. But when I say voidable, then yes, aggrieved party can file a case against the defaulting party. Over here, friends, I would like to give you a shortcut. Which means you will never ever make a mistake towards void and voidable. You will never ever make a mistake. See, friends, when I talk about void, who can go to the court? Can promisor go to the court? Law says no. Promisor cannot file a case against promisee. In a similar way, promisee cannot file a case against promisor because it is neither the fault of promisor nor it is the fault of promisee. Which means both the parties are avoided to go to the court. Both the parties are avoided. Void, avoid, void, avoid. Both the parties are avoided. But when I talk about voidable, then in that case, can I say the concept of voidable is given under section number 2, subsection I, which says it is a contract which is enforceable by law only at the option of one or more parties, but not at the option of other parties. The party who can enforce the contract is an aggrieved party. So over here, one of the party is avoided to go to the court, another party is able to go to the court. Both are avoided, it's void. One of them is avoided to go to the court, another is able to go, it is voidable. And the party who is able to go to the court and file a case is nothing but an aggrieved party, that is the suffering party. So friends, we have also completed the concept towards voidable contract. Let us move on ahead towards the concept called as an illegal agreements. Friends, whenever I talk about illegal agreements, then they are agreements which are forbidden by law. Any such agreements which are forbidden by law, are called as illegal agreements. So illegal agreements are agreements. Which are forbidden by law. Whenever you are doing something against the law, whenever you are doing something against the law, then it is something to be called as illegal in nature. One fine day, I approached to a person called as Mayur. I said, "Hi, Mayur." Mayur said, "Hello, Kunal, sir." I said, "Mayur, would you like to give me some services? I will pay you 10 crores for that services." Mayur said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am ready to give you services. Please tell me what do I need to do?" I said, "Mayur, you just need to give me a small service. Do one thing. Kill. Kill a girl called as Amisha. Kill a girl called as Amisha." Man said, "Okay, sir, I will kill the girl called as Amisha. Will you pay me 10 crores for the same?" I said, "Yes." So Mayur has given me a promise to kill Amisha, and in return, I have given him a promise to pay 10 crores. The agreement between me and Mayur is illegal in nature, something which is forbidden by law. Is killing someone allowed in our country? No, it is allowed in none of the countries. It is something which is forbidden by law. So the agreement between me and Mayur is nothing but illegal agreements. Now, the agreement has already been entered. Mayur is not killing Amisha. Can I raise a complaint against Mayur? Say that Mayur has done a breach of contract. He had already made a promise to kill Amisha, but now he's refusing to kill Amisha. No. Because if at all I go to the court will first punish me. In a similar way, can Mayur go to the court against me? No. Saying that Kunal sir had made a promise to pay me 10 crores if I kill Amisha. I already killed Amisha, but now Kunal sir is refusing to pay me 10 crores. Can Mayur go to the court and file a case against me for the same? No. Because if Mayur goes to the court and files a case against me for the same, then first of all, the court will held Mayur over there because Mayur has done something called as an illegal activity, killing someone. So whenever you enter into an illegal agreement, then all illegal agreements are void in nature. I'm sorry. All illegal agreements are void in nature. So, sir, anything which is void is illegal? I never said that. I never said that. I said all illegal are void. But I never said that all void are illegal. So whenever you enter into an illegal agreements, they are nothing but void because in case of illegal, none of the parties will go to the court. Hence, it is void. Both are avoided to the court. So all illegal agreements are void. Let us go on to the next concept, which talks about unenforceable contracts. What do you mean by unenforceable contracts? See, don't get confused with void and unenforceable. Void says it ceases to be enforceable by law. Void says it ceases to be enforceable by law. Whereas unenforceable says that you cannot enforce this contract. You cannot enforce this contract because of some technical defects. Because of some technical defects. So there are few technical defects. For that reason, you are not in a position to enforce them. However, if such technical defects are removed, however, if such technical defects are removed, then they are enforceable. So unenforceable contracts are those contracts which you cannot enforce due to technical difficulties. What are technical difficulties? Lack of writing, lack of signing, lack of registration if required, etc. So when there is a technical defect and you cannot enforce a contract, then they are unenforceable contract. See, in practical life, whenever we are entering a contract through words spoken, then they are expressed in nature, but they will be always and always unenforceable in nature. On the grounds of formation, they are expressed, But on the grounds of validity, they are unenforceable because there is lack of writing, lack of signing, lack of registration. One fine day, I gave an oral promise to you that I will sell my house to you for rupees 100 only. The value of my house is rupees 100 crores. But I still give a promise that I'm going to sell this house at rupees 100 only. And that was an oral promise. You have paid me 100 rupees, but I did not sell that house to you. You will like to go to court against me, but you won't be in a position to prove that I had given you a promise about selling the house at rupees 100 because nothing was in a return form. So, see, for such kind of a technical defect, if you are not in a position to enforce a contract, then such contracts are unenforceable contract. But now in future, if we make a return promise for the same, it has been signed and it has also been registered, then now you have a return proof to file a case against me, which means now they are enforceable in nature. So, unenforceable contracts are those contracts which cannot be enforced because of technical defects. However, if the technical defects are being removed, then they are enforceable in nature. So, friends, that was something towards unenforceable contracts. Last is nothing but valid contracts. Whenever I talk about valid contract, we are actually talking about section number 10. A contract is considered to be a valid contract only when the essentialities of a valid contract are fulfilled, and those essentialities are given under section number 10. So in practical life, whenever you want to form a contract, whenever you want to form a contract, would you like to form would you like to form a contract which is void? No. Would you like to form a contract which is illegal? No. Would you like to form a contract which is voidable? No. So, in practical life, whenever you want to form a contract, you will always and always in a need to form a valid contract. And that is nothing but our topic number 3, how to form a contract. So, friends, with this, we have completed the second part of Indian Contract Act, that is types of contract. Now, we are upon the third part, which says how to form a contract. And in practical life, we are always and always going to form a valid contract. And in order to form a valid contract, we will be following the provisions given under section number 10 of Indian Contract Act 1872. What is section number 10? Section number 10 deals with essentialities of a valid contract. Section number 10 deals with essentialities of a valid contract. See, these are the essentialities towards valid contract. Law says there has to be a proper offer, there has to be proper acceptance, there has to be an intention to create legal relation. There has to be competency of a party to enter into a contract, consideration, free consent, lawful consideration and lawful object, and agreement should not be declared as void by law. So these are the 8 essentialities. These are the 8 essentialities required for forming a valid contract. When all these 8 essentialities, when all these 8 essentialities are being clubbed together, then the contract which gets formed is nothing but a valid contract. Friends, there are few more essentialities which are not given in a section number 10. I repeat my statement. There are few more essentialities which are not given in a section number 10, but they are still required for the formation of a valid contract. Example, there has to be two parties. Yes, promisor and promisee. Certainty of meaning. Yes, the contract has to have a certain meaning and not an uncertain meaning. There has to be possibility of performance, which means there has to be no impossibility of performance. It should be possible to perform. So along with this all essentialities, there were also few more essentialities which are required for the formation of a valid contract, and we have discussed them. Now let us discuss all of these 8 essentialities. Let us discuss all of these 8 essentialities in detail. The very first essentiality required is proper offer. The very first essentiality required is nothing but a proper offer. Friends, I can make you understand the word proper offer only when you have understood the word called as an offer. So before understanding proper offer, we will be focusing upon the word called as offer. The word offer is actually defined under section number 2, subsection A. So henceforth, whenever I'm going to shout out the words called as offer, the very first thing which is going to flow in your mind is nothing but section 2A. Section 2A. Let us have a reading towards the definition of the word called as offer. See, another word for offer is proposal. Either you say offer or either you say the word called as proposal, it remains one and the same. It's one and the same. Law says the term proposal has been defined under section number 2, subsection A as under. When one person signifies to another person his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything. Either you are doing something or you are abstaining from doing something, not to do something, with a view to obtain the assent of that another to such act or abstinence, is said to have made a proposal. So whenever you are having a willingness to do something, or you are having a willingness for not to do something, and you are trying to get an assent for that activity, which means you are trying to get an approval for that activity, then it is an offer given by you. So in short, offer is nothing but a statement. Offer is nothing but a statement. Yes. So sir, any statement is an offer. Sir, any statement is an offer. I never said that. I said every offer is a statement. I never said that every statement is an offer. Every offer is a statement, but not necessary that every statement is an offer. Once again, every offer is a statement, but not necessary that every statement is an offer. Then, sir, how to distinguish that whether it is an offer or whether it is a statement? Any statement comprising of two principles, there is willingness principle along with assent principle. Any statement comprising of two principles, that is willingness principle along with assent principle, then that statement is not a statement, it is actually an offer. It is actually an offer. So whenever you are giving a statement to a person with your willingness to do something or abstain from doing something, and in order to get an assent for that activity, whether to do or not to do, then that is nothing but an offer given by you. See, when I say to Karthik that, hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? So in this statement, there is my willingness to sell the car, and I'm asking Karthik, would you like to buy? I'm trying to get his approval for buying that car. So offer can be given either for doing something, or offer can also be given for not to do something. I said to one of the student called as Aryan, I said to Aryan that, hey Aryan, if you don't attend my lectures, then I will pay you 5 lakh rupees. So it is my desire that Aryan should not attend my lectures. For that thing, I'm trying to get his approval that if you don't attend it, then I will give you 5 lakhs. So offer can either be for doing something or abstaining from doing something. Abstinence means negative, not to do something. So for a layman, offer is nothing but a statement comprising of willingness principle along with assent principle. Offer is nothing but a statement comprising of willingness principle along with assent principle. But when I say invitation to offer, then that's something which is different. Offer is a different concept. Invitation to offer is altogether a different concept. When I say that I'm inviting someone to give me an offer, you come and you give me an offer, then I'm sending an invitation. Na? So that is an invitation to offer. Then in that case, that another person will give me an offer. Then if I like that offer, I will accept it. I don't like his offer, I will reject it. So offer is different from invitation to offer. When I say offer, the person has given a statement out of willingness principle along with assent principle. But when I say invitation to offer, then in that case, it is only and only willingness principle. It is only and only a willingness principle. I wanted to sell my car. I did not approach to anyone. What did I do? I just put a board upon my car. I just put up a board upon my car stating for sale. So there was a board being put up upon my car stating for sale. And I just sat beside my car. One fine day, Karthik came to me and he said to me, "Hey sir, would you like to sell this car to me for rupees 10 lakhs? Karthik told me, "Hey sir, would you like to sell this car to me for rupees 10 lakhs? Now, over here, Karthik has given me an offer. See, Karthik gave an offer, na? "Hey sir, would you like to sell this car to me for rupees 10 lakhs? Which means Karthik is having a willingness to buy this car. And for that thing, he's trying to get my approval. Karthik gave me an offer. Now it is upon me whether I want to accept his offer or whether I want to reject his offer. It is upon me. So how did Karthik come to know that you wanted to sell your car? Because I had put a board stating for sale. So my action of putting a board for sale was nothing but invitation to offer. My action of putting a board for sale is nothing but invitation to offer. Through that board, I was inviting for an offer. Come, come, come and give me the offer. The person will give me an offer. Then afterwards, if I like his offer, I will accept it. If I don't like his offer, I will reject it. Invitation to offer results into an offer. But when a person is given an offer, then another person can either accept it or reject it. That's the difference between offer and invitation to offer. But friends, we are not over here to discuss offer. We are over here to discuss proper offer. But wait, before discussing proper offer, you should also know various types of offer. We have got something called as a general offer, specific offer, cross offer, counter offer, standing offer. When I say general offer, it is an offer made to public at large. It is an offer for everyone. So general offer is an offer for everyone. It is general one, hence it is a general offer. I just gave an offer to an open market that if you try to trace my dog and if you find my dog, I will pay you 10,000 rupees. Any person who traces my dog and helps me to find my dog will be rewarded with rupees 10,000. So this is an offer for everyone. It is a general one. It is a general offer. But if I made an offer to a particular person or a particular group of person, if I made an offer to a particular person or to a particular group of person, then it is a specific offer. For example, I just said to Karthik that, "Hey Karthik, if you help me in finding my dog, then I will pay you 10 lakh rupees. So this was an offer given to a particular person. Then such offer is a specific offer. So general offer is an offer for everyone. It is general one, hence it is a general offer. Whereas specific offer is an offer for a particular person or for a particular group of persons, then it is a specific offer. I am an author for a book called as Company Law in InterCA. In InterCA, you will be having a subject called as Company Law, carrying a weightage of 60 marks. The market price of that book is 600 rupees. But I just said to all, Diwali Dhamaka, come and get the books for rupees 400. It is an offer for everyone, gentlemen, general offer. But I said that this offer is only for JK Shah classes students. This offer is only and only for JKS students. Then it is an offer called as a specific offer. So any offer which is made to a particular person or particular group of persons. Any offer which is made to a particular person or particular group of persons, then such offers are called as specific offer. The next one which comes into picture is a cross offer. Cross offer. Practically it is something which is doubtful. Practically it is something which is doubtful. But then also we have got a concept, we need to understand it. What is a cross offer? In cross offer, both the parties have actually given an offer to each other. In cross offers, both the parties have given an offers to each other, wherein both the parties has given an offer out of ignorance of each other's offer, and both the offers are identical in nature. Rule number one, both the parties have given an offer to each other out of ignorance of each other's offers, and the offers are identical in nature. They are same. One fine day, I wanted to sell my marker pen. So I wrote an offer letter to Karthik. I stay in Mumbai, so I wrote a letter from Mumbai. Hey Karthik, this is Professor Kunal Shah from Mumbai. Would you like to buy my marker pen for rupees 1000? And I posted the letter from Mumbai to all the way towards Chennai. The letter is traveling to Chennai. Till now, the letter has not been reached to a place called as Chennai. Meantime, Karthik from Chennai thought to buy my marker pen. So from Chennai, he's writing a letter. Hello, Kunal sir. This is Karthik from Chennai branch. Sir, would you like to sell your marker pen to me for rupees 1000? And he posted his letter of offer from Chennai to Mumbai. Can I say, I and Karthik, both of them have made an offer to each other, wherein I never knew that Karthik is going to give an offer. In a similar way, Karthik never knew that my offer is going to reach him. I gave an offer to Karthik, Karthik gave an offer to me. Both the parties has given an offer to each other out of ignorance of each other's offer. And the offers are identical. I wanted to sell marker pen, he wanted to buy marker pen. I wanted to sell for $1000, he wanted to buy for $1000. It is a cross offer. Sir, but if the offers are only out of ignorance but they are not identical, then it results into a specific offer. If it is out of ignorance plus identical, cross offer. Only ignorance, not identical, specific offer. I wrote an offer for selling my marker pen. I posted that letter. Karthik wrote a letter to me that he wanted to buy my mobile phone. So see, offers are not identical, but the offers are made out of ignorance of each other's offers. Then it is specific offer. Ignorance plus identical, cross offer. Only ignorance, not identical, it is something called a specific offer. The next one which comes into picture is the counter offer. That is an offer made against an offer. Something kind of a negotiation. If you go to a vegetable market and you want to buy potatoes, then the vegetable vendor said that he is going to sell potatoes at rupees 60 per kg. The moment he said 60 rupees per kg is the offer, you said no. Would you like to sell me for rupees 50 per kg? Already there was an offer from the vegetable vendor, but against his offer, you gave a counter offer. Whenever there is a counter offer, the original offer gets lapsed. Now you are the offerer, vegetable vendor is the offeree. It is upon the vegetable vendor whether he wants to accept or reject it. If he accepts it, there is a contract. If he rejects it, there is no contract. So counter offer is an offer made against an offer, wherein the original offer gets lapsed. The another name for counter offer is conditional acceptance. Yes, the another name for counter offer is conditional acceptance. The person is accepting along with a condition. See over here, you are ready to buy potatoes, but not at 60, at 50. So you give a conditional acceptance that, hey, bhaiya, would you like to sell me potatoes at 50 rupees per kg? already had given an offer for 60 rupees, but against his offer, you gave an offer, then your offer is the counter offer and his offer gets lapsed. So counter offer is an offer made against an offer wherein the original offer gets lapsed. Another name for counter offer is nothing but a conditional acceptance. Last, standing offer. When I say standing offer, it is an offer which is valid for a stipulated period of time. It is an offer which is valid for a stipulated period of time. Time expires, offer expires. I said to Karthik that, hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? If yes, reply me within 7 days. Which means my offer to sell the car to Mr. Karthik is there for only 7 days. In 7 days, if Karthik replies, well and good. If it does not, the offer gets lapsed. So it is a standing offer. Offer valid for a specific period of time. Another name for standing offer is open offer. Another name for standing offer is open offer. But we are not over here to discuss the types of offer. We are over here to discuss something called as proper offer. Achha, who gives an offer? It is an offerer who gives an offer, na? It is an offerer who gives an offer. So, hey offerer, whenever you are giving an offer, your offer must be a proper offer. In order to consider it as a proper offer, there are certain rules. Rule number one, offer must be certain and definite. Offer must be certain and definite in nature. So, hey offerer, hey offerer, hey offerer, whenever you are giving an offer, your offer must be certain and definite in nature. Which means the offer given by the offerer should not be uncertain in nature. It should not result into creation of a suspense into the mind of the offeree. One fine day, I said to Mr. Aryan that, hey Aryan, would you like to buy oil at rupees 100 per liter? Through my offer, Aryan created a suspense in his mind. Which oil? Which oil? He started creating a question in his own mind. Which oil is Kunal Shah selling to me? Then the offer given by Kunal Shah to Aryan is not a proper offer. But when I say to Aryan that, hey Aryan, would you like to buy sunflower oil at rupees 100 per liter? Now there is no question in the mind of Aryan. Because what will Aryan say? That sunflower oil is an oil which is meant for cooking purpose and not for applying hair, not for filling into automobiles. So, hey offerer, whenever you are giving an offer, your offer must be certain and definite. It should not create any kind of suspense or any kind of question mark into the eyes of the offeree. If it is creating, then sorry to say, it is not a proper offer. Rule number two, intention to create legal relations. Yes, here offerer, whenever you are giving an offer, your intention must not be out of love and affection. If the offer is given out of love and affection, sorry to say, it is not a proper offer because it does not result into a contract later on, which happened in case of Belfour versus Belfour. So, hey offerer, whenever you are giving an offer, your offer must be out of an intention to create legal relations. Don't give an offer out of love and affection. Rule number three, offer must be different from invitation of offer. Yes, offer is different from invitation to offer. When I say invitation to offer, the person is inviting for an offer. Come, come, come and give me an offer. But when a person is giving an offer, then in that case, the person is trying to get acceptance from that another person, which happened in case of Harvey versus Facey, which is already been discussed in our video lectures. So offer must be different from invitation to offer. Yes, offer must be communicated, which means the offer, the knowledge of offer should reach to the knowledge of the offeree. The offer should reach to the knowledge of offeree. If I have not communicated you the offer, then you won't get the knowledge of offer. And when you don't get the knowledge of the offer, you are not in a position either to accept it or to reject it, which happened in case of Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt. Gauri Dutt gave an offer to an entire market. It was a general offer. But when the offer was made, such offer was not been communicated to Lalman Shukla. Lalman Shukla did not have the knowledge of offer, hence Lalman Shukla was not in a position to accept the offer. See, when can you accept the offer or when can you reject the offer? Only when you have the knowledge of the offer. And you get the knowledge of offer only when offer has been communicated. Only when offer has been communicated. So offer must be communicated. If offer is not communicated, sorry to say, another person won't get the knowledge of the offer. So offer must be communicated. Law says offer can be expressed or implied. Yes, offer can be given by words spoken or by words written. Offer can also be there neither by words spoken nor by words written. When I say implied offer, then if you will try to remember that one fine day I was at a railway station and a person wearing a red kurta and a safed dhoti, red kurta and a white dhoti approached me and he started picking up my bags. The moment he was picking up my bags, he had given me an implied offer and I was allowing him to pick up my bags. It was my implied acceptance. For that reason, there was an implied contract between me and that party. So offer can either be expressed in nature or it can also be implied in nature. Yes, there can be terms and conditions inside an offer. Yes, offer can be conditional, but acceptance should always and always be unconditional. Because if at the time of acceptance there is a condition being put, then sorry to say, it results into a counter offer wherein the original offer gets lapsed. The offer can be conditional, but acceptance should always and always be unconditional. See, various times we come into an offer wherein there are certain terms and conditions. Then, yes, offer can be conditional, but acceptance should always and always be unconditional in nature. The last rule says offer should not contain a term. Offer should not contain a term non-compliance of which will directly lead into acceptance. See, we are allowed to have terms and conditions inside the offer. We are allowed to have terms and conditions inside the offer. But please don't put a condition inside the offer wherein the non-compliance of that condition leads into acceptance. Not allowed, not allowed. I gave an offer to Karthik. I said to Karthik that, hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Karthik said yes. And it's a plain offer when there's an acceptance. But now, second example. I said, hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Full stop. If yes, kindly reply me within 7 days. Till here it is okay. But later on I said, if you don't reply me within 7 days, I assume that the car is being sold to you. So this last point inside my offer, I'm asking Karthik to mandatorily reply me, and if he does not reply, it leads into acceptance, then such conditions are not allowed. The offer should not contain a terms and conditions of which there is a non-compliance. It should not result into an acceptance. So offer should be having a condition, but don't put a conditions wherein if those conditions are not been fulfilled and you lead into acceptance, then not allowed. Last part, lapse of offer. Offer can be lapsed by communication. Yes, you can communicate something called as revocation of offer. If you want to give an offer, you have to communicate that offer. But now if you want to revoke that offer, you need to again communicate that the offer which I had given you earlier, I would like to withdraw that offer. But such revocation should be done. Such revocation should be done before the acceptance has been posted. If the offeree has already sent an acceptance, then sorry, now you cannot revoke your offer. So by revocation, offer gets lapsed, but revocation should be done before acceptance is been given. Offer can be lapsed by lapse of time. I already said to you that Karthik, if you want to buy my car, you can buy it. You can buy provided you reply me within 7 days. If Karthik fails to reply me within 7 days, my offer comes to an end. By failure to accept condition in conditional offer. See, if there are terms and conditions inside my offer, but if you are not in a position to fulfill those terms and conditions, then sorry to say, my offer gets lapsed. The next reason being death or insanity of offer or offeree. Whenever the offerer give an offer and later on he dies, then if the offeree has not given an acceptance, the offer comes to an end. But if the offeree has already given an acceptance and it is not involving the usage of personal skills and personal taste, then the legal representative of offerer can perform it. However, if it is using personal skills and personal taste, then sorry, the offer comes to an end. Offer can also come to an end by giving a counter offer, that is nothing but a conditional acceptance, wherein the original offer gets lapsed. Offer can also come to an end by a reason called as rejection of an offer. I gave an offer, but you rejected my offer. Sorry, my offer comes to an end. So, friends, with this, we have completed the very first point, that is proper offer. We go for a break for 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, we will resume our lecture. We will resume our lecture towards the next points. So, friends, break for 5 minutes. Meet you after 5 minutes. Thank you. Yes, friends, welcome back to the world of business law. Before the break, friends, we had started with a topic called as Roman number 3, how to form a contract. In practical life, whenever we want to form a contract, we are going to form a valid contract. In order to form a valid contract, in order to form a valid contract, we need to fulfill the provisions of section number 10, that is essentialities of a valid contract. The very first essentiality we have discussed over here is proper offer. Now let us discuss the second essentiality over here, that is proper acceptance. Friends, the word acceptance, the word acceptance is been defined under section number 2, subsection B. Now, you guys will be confused that, sir, promise is also defined under section 2B. Acceptance is also defined under section number 2B. Yes, because whenever an offer gets accepted, it becomes a promise. Acceptance of a proposal is a promise itself. So whether you say promise or whether you say acceptance of a proposal, it's one and the same. The definition reads out as follows: when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. So, over here, when the person to whom the proposal is made, there is nothing but we are talking about a promisee. The person to whom the offer was made, that is an offeree rather, signifies his assent. That person has given his approval. Then the offer is said to be accepted. And whenever an offer gets accepted, it becomes a promise. Over here, let us discuss the few characteristics of acceptance. Because in practical life, whenever we wanted to form a valid contract, we don't want acceptance, we rather want proper acceptance. Acceptance is given by offeree. So, friends, all these rules will be fulfilled by the offeree himself. The very first rule, acceptance must be unconditional in nature. Yes. Whenever you talk about acceptance, then yes, acceptance must be unconditional in nature. Which means what? Which means whenever a person is giving an acceptance, who gives an acceptance? Yes, it is an offeree who gives an acceptance. So whenever an offeree who gives an acceptance, then such acceptance should be unconditional in nature. Acceptance should be unconditional. Pretty obvious, na? If acceptance has been given with conditions, then it results into a counter offer. And whenever there is a counter offer, the original offer comes to an end. So, hey offeree, hey offeree, whenever you are giving an acceptance, then such acceptance should be completely unconditional. It should be without any conditions. See, at the time of giving an offer, conditions are allowed. But at the time of giving acceptance, conditions are not allowed. Acceptance should be unconditional. The second rule says intention to create legal relations. Yes, acceptance should be given with an intention to create legal relation. Hey offeree, hey offeree, whenever you are giving an acceptance, your intention must be to create a legal relation. Please, please don't give an acceptance out of love and affection. Any acceptance given out of love and affection does not result into a contract, and when it is not a contract, how come there be a valid contract? So hey offeree, hey offeree, whenever you are giving an acceptance, hey offeree, Whenever you are giving an acceptance, then that acceptance should be out of an intention to create legal relation. Acceptance should be out of an intention to create legal relation. Don't give an acceptance out of love and affection. The third rule over here says acceptance should be communicated. Yes, communication of acceptance is required. Communication of acceptance is required. See, when I say communication, now it means knowledge. Acceptance should reach to the knowledge of offerer. See, inside the mind of offerer, there is already an offer been put. Now, if inside his mind your acceptance will reach, then in that case it results into a promise associated with a consideration. It forms an agreement, and if that agreement is made out of an intention to create legal relation, it is enforceable by law. It is a contract. So acceptance must be communicated. It happened in case of Brojan versus Metropolitan Railway Company, wherein the offeree accepted the offer, but he did not post the letter of acceptance. He kept the letter of acceptance with himself. He just wrote accepted and he put the letter inside his own drawer. Then in that case, he has given an acceptance, but the knowledge of acceptance did not reach to the offerer, hence it was not a proper acceptance. So, hey, offeree. Hey, offering. Whenever you are giving an acceptance, then your acceptance should reach to the knowledge of offerer. That is communication of acceptance. The next rule says acceptance must be communicated by a person who has authority to accept. Only those persons can give an acceptance who has gotten authority to accept. If you don't have an authority to accept, you cannot give an acceptance. For example, I give an offer to Karthik. So it is upon Karthik whether to accept my offer or reject my offer. But on behalf of Karthik, can any of his family member come to me and accept the offer? No. But if Karthik has given authority to his family members, then yes. If no such authority was given, then sorry, they cannot come and give acceptance on behalf of Karthik. So, acceptance must be communicated by a person who has authority to accept. It happened in case of Bolton versus Jones, wherein Mr. Jones had actually given an offer to a person called as Mr. Brocklehurst. Then it is Brocklehurst who can either accept it or reject it. But on behalf of Brocklehurst, the acceptance was given by Bolton, which was not considered to be a valid acceptance. So acceptance must be given, acceptance must be communicated by a person who has authority to accept it. Next, acceptance must be within a specific time or reasonable time. I give an offer to Karthik that would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Full stop. If yes, kindly reply within 10 days. If yes, kindly reply within 10 days. Now, Karthik, if wants to give an acceptance, then he should give me an acceptance within a specific time, that is 10 days. If he does not give me an acceptance within specific time, my offer gets lapsed. My offer comes to an end. So, hey, offeree. Hey, offeree. Whenever you are giving an acceptance, such acceptance must be given within a specific time. However, if there is no time limits prescribed, then in that case, acceptance should be given within a reasonable time. Friends, reasonable time is a time which cannot be defined. It keeps on changing from person to person, time to time, situation to situation. The acceptance must be within a specific time. If no time is specified, then in that case, acceptance should be given within a reasonable time. Over here, yes, acceptance can be expressed or it can even be implied in nature, which happened in case of Lily White versus Manuswamy, which you already understood in our video lectures. Last, acceptance should be in a prescribed manner. Yes, if I told to Karthik that kindly give me your acceptance through telegram, then Karthik is bound to give me an acceptance through telegram. But if Karthik is sending his acceptance through email, then Karthik has not given an acceptance in a prescribed manner. Now it is upon me whether I can accept his acceptance or I can also reject his acceptance. It is completely upon me. It's better. Hey, of worry, you give an acceptance in a manner prescribed. So, friends, with this, we have also completed our second point, that is proper acceptance. In fact, friends, we have also completed point number C, that is intention to create legal relation. See, we did that point under proper offer, and we also did that point under proper acceptance. So over here, whenever you talk about point number C, then in that case, whenever we are entering into a valid contract, whenever we are entering into a valid contract, the intention between both the parties must be out of an intention to create legal relations. There should be no love and affection. Through love and affection, we cannot enter into a contract. And if we cannot enter into a contract, how can we enter into a valid contract? So, there must be an intention to create legal relations. So, friends, in order to form a valid contract, the very first point was proper offer. We have completed it. The second point is proper acceptance. Completed. The third point is intention to create legal relation. Already covered in point A and point B. Now let us go on to point number D, which talks about competency of a party to enter into a contract. Whenever a person wants to enter into a contract, whenever a person wants to enter into a contract, then that person should be competent enough to enter into a contract. When I say the person should be competent enough to enter into a contract, then it means to say that the party should be having a capacity to enter into a contract. What does that mean? The party is having a capacity to enter into a contract. Over here, over here. What do you mean by the word called as competency? It stands for capacity, which is given under section number 11, which is given under section number 11 of Indian Contract Act 1872. It is section number 11 of Indian Contract Act 1872, which tells about competency of a party to enter into a contract. As per the provisions of section number 11, both the parties, I repeat, as per the provisions of section number 11, both the parties should be competent enough to enter into a contract. That is promisor as well as promisee. Promisor as well as promisee. Both the parties should be, number one, of the age of majority. Number two, both the parties should be of sound mind. And number three, both the parties should not be disqualified by law to enter into a contract. In short, both the parties should be qualified by law. Not disqualified means what? They should be qualified by law to enter into a contract. The very first point, age of majority. Both the parties should be of the age of majority. It is Indian Majority Act 1875 which defines the age of majority. And as per the provision of that act, any person having an age above 18 is called as a major person. So whenever a person wants to enter into a contract, then in that case, both the parties should be having an age above 18. Any person having an age below 18 is considered to be a minor. And sorry to say, any agreement with a minor is void ab initio. Any agreement with a minor is void ab initio. So, sir, can we have a contract with a minor? No. Sir, can we have an agreement with a minor? Yes, but sorry to say that agreement will be void ab initio, which was held in the case of Mohori Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh. See, law will always and always try to protect a minor. Law will always and always try to protect a minor because he is a minor. So law says that you cannot have a contract with a minor, least about a contract. You also cannot have an agreement with a minor, because any agreement with a minor is void ab initio. In fact, no ratification in case of minor's agreement. A minor entered an agreement at the time of minority, but now that person has attained the age of majority, and if that person is giving an approval, then such approval is not allowed in case of minor's agreement. So, no ratification in case of minor's agreement. Next is no estoppel in case of a minor to claim his minority. You cannot stop a minor to claim his minority. You cannot stop a minor to claim his minority. If he's a minor, he will consider to be a minor. You cannot stop him to claim his minority. Sir, can a minor be a beneficiary to a contract? Yes. Anything done for the benefits of a minor will be always and always considered as a valid contract. Over here, sir, can a minor become a partner? The general answer is no. No. Generally, minor cannot become a partner. But if few conditions are being fulfilled, then yes, minor can become a partner. That is with the consent of all the partners. He's been a partner only for benefits, and he's a partner only for the time being he's a minor. So if a general question is being asked, can a minor being a partner? The answer is no. Can a minor become a partner? The answer is no. But if there are certain conditions being fulfilled, then yes, a minor can become a partner. Over here, over here, the very first condition was about age of majority. That is, both the parties should be of the age of majority. The second condition over here is of sound mind. The second condition over here is of sound mind. Law says that both the parties should be of sound mind. The provision of sound mind is given under section number 12 of Indian Contract Act 1872. Section number 12 says that the parties who are going to enter into a contract should be in a position to understand the terms of the contract. Both the parties should be in a position to understand the terms of the contract, and they should be in a position to form a rational judgment. They should be in a position to form a rational judgment. When when both of these conditions are being fulfilled, then in that case you are a person then in that case you are a person मीटिंग से साइन ऑफ हो गया क्या? चालू है ना? लाइव चल रहा है ना? ओके ओके Okay, so sorry, friends. I just thought that I've been signed off the meeting. So sorry. Okay, yes. So when both of these conditions have been fulfilled, that the minor is in a position. Sorry. When both the conditions have been fulfilled, that is, the person is in a position to understand the terms of the contract, and yes, he is also in a position to form a rational judgment. When both of these things are been possible, then those persons are considered of sound mind. So rule number one: both the parties should be of the age of majority. Rule number two: both the parties should be of sound mind, which means they are in a position to understand the terms of the contract, and they are also in a position to form a rational judgment. Sir, can you please give an example of the persons who are of unsound mind? Yes. A person who is a lunatic, a person who is a drunkard, a person who is an idiot, they are the persons to be considered as unsound mind. See, lunatics and drunkards are not necessarily to be always and always of unsound mind. Sometimes they are also of sound mind, and yes, when they are of sound mind, they can enter into a valid contract. But when you take an example of idiots, law says once an idiot, always an idiot. Their age grows, but their mind capacity does not grow. Their age grows, but their thinking capacity is still like a small kid. Once a minor, always a minor. So over here, you cannot have a contract with an idiot because they are permanently of unsound mind. So over here, lunatics and drunkards are of unsound mind, but at times they are of sound mind, and when they are of sound mind, at that time you can enter a contract with them. Last, the person should not be disqualified by law to enter into a contract, which means there's a list given by law. The list given by law says that following are the persons who are disqualified by law to enter into a contract. So with those persons, we cannot enter into a valid contract. That is, for example, alien enemy. That is a person with whose country we are having a war. Right now, India and Pakistan are not under a war, which means we are alien friends. But one fine day, there is a war between India and Pakistan, then we cannot have a contract with the person having citizenship of Pakistan because they are considered to be an alien enemy. The second person who is disqualified by law is convicted person. Any person who's been sent for an imprisonment, any person who is a convicted person, is a person disqualified by law to enter into a contract. The third one is insolvent, the person whose liabilities are more than his assets. The fourth one is a company. See, generally a company can enter into a contract, but only those contracts which are allowed by its memorandum and articles. See, inside every company, there are two fundamental documents: memorandum of association, articles of association. Over here, company can do only those activities. Company can do only those activities which are under the purview of MO and AOA. Whenever a company does something beyond its MOA and AOA, then in that case, the company is considered to be disqualified by law to enter into a contract. In my company, the MOA reads out saying that our company can enter into insurance contract and our company will never ever enter into educational contract. Then also, one fine day, my company entered into an educational contract. Then for that contract, the company is disqualified by law to enter into a contract. Last, foreign sovereigns, foreign diplomats, even these are the persons who are considered to be disqualified by law. See, you cannot file a case directly against them. Whenever you want to file a case against them, you need to first take the approval of the central government. So, with this, we have completed point number D, which talk about competency of a party to enter into a contract, which means capacity of a person to enter into a contract. The capacity is defined under section number 11, which says both the parties should be of the age of majority, both the parties should be of sound mind, and both the parties should be qualified by law to enter into a contract. However, there are certain lists given by law about unsound mind, and there's a list given by law talking about the persons who are disqualified by law to enter into a contract. So, friends, with this, we have completed our point number D, that is competency of a party to enter into a contract. Let us go on to point number E, which talks about consideration. See, generally, the word consideration stands for something in return. However, under Latin words, it is quid pro quo. Under Latin words, it is quid pro quo, that is something in return. The word consideration is defined under section number 2, subsection D. So henceforth, whenever I'm going to shout out the word called as consideration, henceforth, whenever I'm going to shout out the word called as consideration, the very first thing which is going to run in my mind is section number 2, subsection D of Indian Contract Act 1872. The definition of consideration reads as follows. The word consideration is defined under this, saying that when at the desire of the promisor, the promisee, or any other person did or abstain from doing, that is something which is past tense, or it does or abstains from doing, that is something which is present tense, or promises to do or abstains from doing something, that is a future tense, then such act or abstinence is called as a consideration for the promise. See, friends, it is very easy to remember this definition provided you know these four characteristics of consideration. If you know these four characteristics of consideration, then yes, the definition of consideration itself is covered under these 4 points. See, the very first point says consideration shall always and always move as per the desire of the promiser. The very first point says that consideration shall always and always move as per the desire of the promiser. Which means what? That consideration will always and always be moving as per the desire of the promiser. How? Law says promiser was previously acting as an offerer, and when he was acting as an offerer, it was he who laid the foundation to form a contract. If he laid a foundation to form a contract, then yes, it is he who shall perform the contract first. Yes, when there is a promiser, when there is a promisee, out of both of them, it is the promiser who performs first. Why? Because before acting as a promiser, he was acting as an offerer, and when he was acting as an offerer, he was the first person to lay the foundation towards the forming a contract. Now the contract is already been formed, the contract needs to be performed, then such performance will be first done by the promiser himself. Now, what does the promiser says? Okay, okay, I will perform first, provided the consideration is moving as per my desire. Hence, consideration should always and always move as per the desire of the promiser himself. So rule number one, consideration will move as per the desire of the promiser, which held in the case of Durga Prasad versus Baldev. In that case study, the consideration was not moving as per the desire of the promiser. The consideration was moving as per the desire of the district collector. For that reason, it was not considered to be a good consideration. If over here I'm saying to Karthik that, hey Karthik, would you like to buy my car for rupees 10 lakhs? Then over here, I am the offerer, Karthik is the offeree. Karthik said, yes, sir, I'm ready to buy your car for rupees 10 lakhs, which means there is an acceptance. There is a promise between me and Karthik. It is my promise to sell the car for rupees 10 lakhs. See, the consideration of 10 lakhs is moving as per my desire. I am the promiser, Karthik is the promisee. So consideration will always and always move as per the desire of the promiser. I repeat, consideration will always and always move as per the desire of the promiser. Rule number two, consideration can move from promisee or any other person. In my example, Karthik is the promisee. Either Karthik can pay me 10 lakhs, or in his behalf, any of his family member can come and pay me 10 lakhs. See, his family members cannot accept the offer, but his family members can still pass on the consideration to me. For me, what is more important? Karthik? No, for me, more important is 10 lakhs. Now, that 10 lakhs is Karthik given to me. It's good for me. If that 10 lakhs is given by his father to me, I'm still not worried for it. It's fine for me. So, there can be a stranger for a consideration, but there cannot be a stranger to a contract. There's a rule, na? Stranger to a consideration can sue, but stranger to a contract cannot sue. So consideration will always and always move as per the desire of the promiser, but consideration can move from promisee or any other person, and that any other person is nothing but a stranger over here. Wherein it happened in case of Chinnaya versus Ramaya, wherein Uncle Chinnaya did not pay any consideration to Ramaya. However, still, the consideration was already moving as per the desire of the father over here, that is father of Ramaya. So there can be a stranger to a consideration, but there cannot be a stranger to a contract. So rule number one, consideration will always and always move as per the desire of promiser. Rule number two, consideration can move from promisee or any other person. Chinaya was not the uncle, Chinaya was the aunt over here. Okay. The next rule, consideration can be for doing something or abstain from doing something. Yes, you can give a consideration for doing something, or you can also give a consideration for not doing something. I said that I would like to sell my car for rupees 10 lakhs, then that is a consideration for doing something, selling the car, and you give me 10 lakhs. I said if you don't come for the lectures, I will pay you 5 lakhs. So I'm giving a consideration for not doing something. That is abstaining from doing something. So consideration can be for doing something, consideration can also be there for not doing something. Yes, consideration can be past, present, or future. Yes, there can be a consideration for past things. There can be a consideration for present things, and there can be a consideration even for future things. However, under English law, past consideration is no consideration. But under Indian law, consideration can be past, present, or future. So, friends, when you know these four rules, when you know these four rules, then yes, it is very easy for you. It is very easy for you to understand the definition of consideration. So, rule number one, consideration will move as per the desire of promisor. Rule number two, consideration can pass from promisee or any other person. Rule number three, consideration can be for doing something or abstain from doing something. Rule number four, consideration can be past, present, or future. Next rule says consideration need not be adequate. Yes, which means even if there is inadequacy in consideration, it is allowed. Inadequacy of consideration is still allowed. See, what is consideration? Consideration means something in return. You should get something. That something can be anything. It can be of a lesser value itself. I am a proud owner of a car called as a Rolls Royce car. The market value of the car is 6 crores. I want to sell that car at only rupees 10 lakhs. It's my car. It is my desire to sell at 10 lakhs. So even if the consideration is inadequate, it is still considered as a valid consideration. But wait, provided the person over here have not indulged into coercion, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake or undue influence. If Karthik is coming to me and telling to me, Sir, you will have to sell this car to me for rupees 10 lakhs only, then there is a usage of coercion. Then in that case, inadequacy is something which is voidable in nature. However, if there is a free consent, then even if the consideration is inadequate in nature, it is still considered to be a valid consideration. Yes, consideration must be real and not illusory. Consideration must be there for something which is real in nature and not for something which is imaginary in nature. You cannot have a consideration for something which is illusory in nature. I just told you that bring stars to this earth, I will pay you 10 crores. I will pay you 10 crores. It's illusory, imaginary. Bring back dinosaurs to the earth, I will pay you 100 crores. That's again something illusory, imaginary. So consideration must be for something which is real and not for something which is illusory. Yes, consideration must not be illegal, it must not be immoral, it must not be opposed to public policy. In fact, consideration must be something which is lawful in nature. That is point number G. See, guys, if you come across over here, na, point number G itself says, see over here, lawful consideration, which we are going to do in our tomorrow's lecture. So consideration must not be for something which is illegal, not be for something which is immoral, not be for something which is opposed to public policy. In fact, consideration must be for something which is lawful in nature. Practically, consideration is not the essentiality to a valid contract. If you guys know it. Sir, what nonsense? You have yourself added it inside valid contract, but now you are saying it is not an essentiality to a valid contract. Yes, the essentiality to a valid contract is lawful consideration and not consideration. Then, sir, why did you write consideration over here? Because I need to explain you lawful consideration. But before explaining you lawful consideration, I need to explain you what is consideration. See, for forming a valid contract, you don't require offer, you require proper offer. But first I taught you offer, na? Then I taught you proper offer. So in a similar way, for a valid contract, you don't want consideration, you want lawful consideration. So consideration is actually the essentiality of a contract and not the essentiality of a valid contract. Essentiality for a valid contract is lawful consideration, but still have added it over here so that I can first explain you what is consideration and then we can move and understand what is lawful consideration. Over here, the last point towards consideration. Consideration must be different. Consideration must be different from existing obligation. You cannot demand a consideration for your existing obligation. You guys have already paid fees for the lectures. It is my existing obligation to conduct lectures. For such existing obligation, I cannot demand a consideration from you all. I cannot say if you want law, then you will have to pay extra fees of 10,000 rupees. No. If you want to study law under us, then you need to pay extra fees of 10,000 rupees. I cannot demand this consideration from you because you guys have already paid the fees wherein it is my existing obligation to teach you a subject called as law. So for my existing obligation, I cannot redemand a consideration. So consideration must be different from existing obligation. Consideration should not be for something which a promiser is legally bound to do. If a promiser is legally bound to do, it is his existing obligation. He cannot demand consideration. He cannot demand consideration for his existing obligation. Hence, consideration must be different from existing obligations. So, friends, till now we have completed point number E, that is consideration. In my next lecture, we will commence the balance portion, and yes, by tomorrow's lecture, we will be completing Indian Contract Act, and we will also start understanding the provisions towards Partnership Act 1932. So, this was from my side for today's lecture. I hope so you all enjoyed the lectures. Thank you so much. Meet you tomorrow. Bye bye.